So, remember when I said that Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie were my favorite 3D platformers? Well, thing is, I scripted that video before playing this game. When you spend ungodly amounts of time pushing buttons on a controller like I have, you begin to develop certain tastes and preferences in regards to which games you prefer. There are a great many things I enjoy in a game, but let's focus on the ones relevant to this video. A charming, colorful aesthetic? Absolutely. Well-designed platformer? You have my attention. Is it a Mario RPG? Where's my wallet? It's quite rare for a game to appeal to nearly every preference of mine all at once, but just such a game came to my attention some time ago. A Hat in Time was yet another indie game funded by Kickstarter. The initial Kickstarter campaign started in mid-2013, but I personally didn't really know about the game until its release in late 2017. But hoo boy, when I finally learned what this game was about, my reactions went something like this. It's a 3D platformer in the vein of GameCube-era games.
I don't need it.
It has a vibrant, cel-shaded art style reminiscent of Wind Waker.
I definitely don't need it.
It has strong Paper Mario influences.
I need it!
I made it abundantly clear earlier just how much I adore Mario RPGs, and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is pretty much my favorite game in existence. So, when I learned that this game was made by huge TTYD fans, and that the game housed more than a few references to that masterpiece, that was the tipping point for me. I just had to play this game. There was just one little problem. It wasn't on any Nintendo systems, and the old laptop I had at the time wasn't anywhere near powerful enough to run it. I hoped and prayed for a Switch port, but at the time, it didn't seem like that was going to be a possibility. Seemingly due to the fact that the game's engine was incompatible with the Switch, leaving me with no way of playing the game. But then, my opportunity came when a friend of mine offered to sell me his PC at a bargain price. And you can bet that when I took him up on that, purchasing A Hat in Time was at the top of my priority list. And then, several months later, the developers of the game, Gears for Breakfast, announced a Switch port, making this entire backstory a bit outdated. Well, on that topic, with the first batch of A Hat in Time DLC just around the corner, now's as good a time as any to ramble on about why I love this game so much. I guess you could call this a review, but I'll say up front that I don't have much of anything bad to say about the game, so I guess it'll be less of a critical review and more of me gushing constantly about the things I like about it. Let's go. So, the game starts with the main protagonist of the game, a little girl known only as Hat Kid, waking up on her personal spaceship, which is en route to her home. The game doesn't really explain why an unsupervised child has an entire highly advanced spaceship at her disposal, but there's no time to think about that because now, a member of a mafia is here to collect a travel toll. In space. Still want to know how exactly he got there in the first place. Hat Kid doesn't pay up, the Mafia man retaliates, and now Hat Kid and the power source of her ship, the timepieces, are flung onto the nearby planet. And with that, the adventure begins. A Hat in Time doesn't really have much in the way of a plot. Your goal is outlined at the start, and it doesn't really change much as you progress, but that's just fine because the shenanigans you get up to in the name of recovering your lost timepieces are plenty entertaining, with diverse environments to explore and a colorful cast of characters to interact with. On to the gameplay. The game is divided into 4 large chapters, each of which is divided into several acts. I really have to direct some special praise to the game's controls. The actions you perform aren't anything you won't find in other games of the genre: running, jumping, diving, wall jumps, and so forth. Each one of the actions are smooth and intuitive, but the way you can chain them together is pretty impressive actually. I especially like this game's air dive. The amount of control you're given, combined with how you can perform a miniature jump at the end to correct mistakes, gives you a wider margin for error than a lot of other games, so any mistakes you end up making are entirely your own doing. The game establishes an excellent difficulty balance by not being too punishing while also providing a fair challenge. As you progress, your arsenal gradually expands via purchasable badges that you can get from this creepy merchant, and more importantly, power-granting hats that you can create once you've tracked down enough yarn balls. Aesthetically, this game is an absolute treat. The game might not boast the most advanced textures on the market, and the facial expressions do feel a little off to me sometimes, but the style and attention to detail really shine through. The developers made a pretty big deal about how irresistibly cute this game is, and oh my goodness did they have a right to brag. My status as a 22-year-old male be hanged. Adorable and colorful aesthetics are entirely my thing, and this game has it down to a science. Well, except that one part, where the game suddenly decided that it wanted to have a terrifying horror-themed level anyway. The music is also fantastic, easily one of my favorite soundtracks to come out in recent memory. The game's voice acted too, and it's really well done. There's also one particular aspect of the game that I just have to applaud, and that's the tremendous variety between the 4 chapters. A Hat in Time handles variety beautifully, with the different chapters and even the acts within those chapters constantly throwing new scenarios your way, without feeling forced or making you learn a new control scheme. The first chapter is pretty standard fare, with a handful of missions to tackle in a large hub area, but then chapter 2 flips the script and puts you in a series of parallel missions which rank your performance, and changes the finale based on which side you scored better in. The third chapter has you doing specific tasks, as assigned by a malevolent ghost, and the last chapter is an open-ended world in which you can tackle the challenges in whatever order you please. The chapters are different in tone, aesthetic, and gameplay while holding true to the core game mechanics, and I really can't wait to see what the upcoming DLC offers. This brings me to the only real negative aspect of the game for me. It's pretty short. There are only 40 timepieces, as opposed to the 120 main collectibles you would find in the Mario games that are clearly inspiring this game. This isn't quite as bad as it sounds, as there is little to no filler content in A Hat in Time, as opposed to the old Mario platformers, which had plenty of things like the recurring 100 coin stars, red coin stars, and the literal hundreds of blue coins in Mario Sunshine. Still, A Hat in Time is a bit short regardless, though the upcoming DLC will certainly add some much welcome new content. And speaking of new content, that brings me to yet another excellent feature that the PC version of A Hat in Time offers: mod support. As appealing as the idea of playing A Hat in Time on the go in the upcoming Switch port sounds, I'm pretty sure that it will never top the fun you can have in the PC version. Sure, pretty much any game on Steam can be modded using the Steam Workshop, but A Hat in Time is a bit special. Not only did the developers fully open the doors to the modding community and make mods extremely fun and easy to use within the game itself, but they even hosted a mod contest with cash awards. So, as you might expect, this has resulted in wave upon wave of excellent content made by the community that really helps to extend the game's longevity. You've got stuff like new levels, new outfits, and some more ambitious projects, like a new playable character, an entire fan-made continuation of the plot, and even a fully functional flood from Super Mario Sunshine. It's great stuff. I'm about done here, but there's one last thing that I need to spotlight. That being this game's connection to one of my most treasured experiences as a gamer, Paper Mario. There are a handful of similarities here and there, like Snatcher resembling the Thousand Year Door's curse ghosts, or Hat Kid's diary being accessed the same way as Luigi's diary in the first Paper Mario game. But the part where this really shines through is in the second chapter, the Battle of the Birds. Aside from the general tone and humor in the chapter being extremely similar to Paper Mario, there are some more direct references, like a mystery on a train, a parade, and the big one, the finale. I'm about to comb through a section of A Hat in Time, and also the Thousand Year Door, in some detail, so skip to this time if you don't want spoilers. The final act in that chapter takes some pretty heavy inspiration from Chapter 3 of the Thousand Year Door, the Glitz Pit. Sketchy communications from an unknown caller telling you to go back to the central area when nobody is around. Traveling through air vents while hearing distant, sinister voices of the secret villain, all culminating into the ultimate unraveling of a deep-running conspiracy. And here's the part where this video starts getting all sappy and emotional. It's difficult to explain, but Chapter 2's finale, that chain of events sparked by the mystery phone call, was unusually moving for me. Seeing this game so expertly reference and emulate one of my most cherished gaming experiences while simultaneously delivering something fresh and new on its own merits was something really special. It filled me with a kind of euphoria that I don't experience often in games. A Hat in Time provided some delightful experiences both before and after this point in the game, but it was Chapter 2's finale that really solidified it as one of my all-time favorites. Phew, okay, maybe went off the deep end a little there. I was trying my hand at a looser, more informal style than my last video, so let me know if you think this style works or not. And that's about it. See you in the next video! I especially like this game's air dye. Train, really? You had to do this to me. The train's back. Variety is an essential element for most games, but it's so often done poorly or simply for its own sake. Often... Really?